Before the Europeans set foot, Canada had a rich indigenous history. A myriad of diverse cultures and early civilizations thrived here, each with their own unique traditions, languages, and ways of life. The First Nations, the Inuit, and the Métis, these were the original inhabitants of what we now know as Canada. From the Haida of the Pacific West to the Mi'kmaq of the Atlantic East, these indigenous communities formed complex societies with intricate political systems and spiritual beliefs. They traded with one another, hunted, fished, and farmed the land. Their intricate art and storytelling traditions continue to echo in the cultural fabric of modern Canada. They were skilled navigators, builders, and traders, their knowledge of the land unmatched. The indigenous peoples of Canada were and continue to be the stewards of this land. They inhabited this vast landscape for thousands of years, living in harmony with nature. The arrival of Europeans would significantly alter the course of Canada's history. In the late 15th century, European explorers began their journey to the New World. Among them was John Cabot, an Italian explorer sailing under the English flag. He arrived on the shores of what we now know as Canada in 1497, searching for a western route to Asia. This marked the start of the European Age of Discovery in North America. A few decades later, in the 16th century, another key figure emerged. Jacques Cartier, a French mariner, made his way to the New World. He explored the St. Lawrence River and laid the foundation for French claims in the Americas. His voyages deep into the continent brought back tales of vast wealth and resources, sparking interest across Europe. These explorers may not have found the route to Asia they sought, but their voyages forever changed the course of history. Their discoveries and the stories they told about the New World triggered a wave of European exploration. The exploration paved the way for European settlement and control. The 17th and 18th centuries marked the era of fur trade and colonization. As the European powers began to take interest in the New World, the establishment of colonies became a priority. France, seeing potential in the vast and untapped wilderness, planted its flag and established New France. This colony, sprawling over what is now Quebec and parts of Ontario, was the French Empire's foothold in North America. But what really ignited the colonial flame was the fur trade. The Europeans had a voracious appetite for fur, especially beaver pelts, which were used to make fashionable felt hats back home. The indigenous peoples, skilled hunters and trappers, became invaluable allies, providing the French with a steady stream of fur. The fur trade became the lifeblood of New France, shaping its economy and leading to the growth of towns and cities. Yet, fur was only part of the story. The colonization of Canada was also a stage for the power struggle between the French and British empires. The British, not to be outdone, established their own colonies, such as Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. This led to a century of conflicts and skirmishes as each empire sought to expand its influence and control over the rich Canadian lands. These conflicts culminated in the 7 Years' War, a global conflict that spilled into the colonies. The French and British clashed in a series of battles, each desperate to secure their hold over Canada. The war was brutal and costly, but in the end it was the British who emerged victorious. The Treaty of Paris in 1763 ended these conflicts, leaving Britain in control. The treaty marked the end of French rule in most parts of North America and began a new chapter in the history of Canada, one dominated by British influence and governance. So, the 17th and 18th centuries, defined by fur trade and colonization, set the stage for the Canada we know today. The 19th century brought significant changes to Canada. The most monumental shift was the Confederation of Provinces into the Dominion of Canada in 1867. This transformative event was a political maneuver that united 3 British North American colonies: Ontario, Quebec, and the provinces of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. This union was not just a simple merger of territories, but a significant step towards self-governance. Under the British North America Act, the Dominion of Canada was granted the power to govern its internal affairs, while Britain retained control over foreign policy and defence. This new political entity had a federal structure with a central government and provincial governments sharing powers. The Confederation marked the beginning of an expansion that would see Canada stretch from the Atlantic to the Pacific. But this westward expansion was not without its challenges. It was a period of intense negotiation and conflict, particularly with the indigenous populations and the Metis people, a distinct group of mixed indigenous and European heritage. The completion of the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1885 played a crucial role in this westward expansion. The railway was a marvel of engineering, snaking its way across the vast Canadian landscapes, through mountains and across prairies. It connected the eastern provinces with British Columbia, opening up the west for settlement and economic development. It was a symbol of unity, tying together the vast expanse of the Dominion. This period saw a surge in immigration, with people from around the world drawn to the promise of opportunity in the new Dominion. It was an era of growth and transformation, but also one of struggle and conflict. By the end of the 19th century, Canada's borders had extended from coast to coast. A nation that started as a handful of colonies had become a vast dominion. The Confederation and the expansion that followed laid the foundation for the Canada we know today, a diverse and vibrant country with a rich and complex history. The first half of the 20th century was a time of global turmoil, and Canada was not immune. As the world plunged into chaos with the outbreak of the First World War in 1914, Canada, still a dominion of the British Empire, was automatically embroiled in the conflict. Over 600,000 Canadians served overseas, carving out a reputation for bravery and resilience, notably at the Battle of Vimy Ridge in 1917, a military triumph that is often viewed as a defining moment in the forging of Canadian nationhood. The end of the Great War, however, did not bring lasting peace. Just 2 decades later, Canada was once again at war, this time on a scale even more devastating than before. The Second World War saw more than 1 million Canadians in uniform, playing pivotal roles in key battles such as the Battle of the Atlantic and the D-Day invasion. This time, the decision to join the war was made independently by the Canadian government, underlining the country's growing autonomy from Britain. In the midst of these global conflicts, Canada also grappled with severe economic hardship. The Great Depression of the 1930s hit hard, with unemployment reaching nearly 30% at the height of the crisis. The government's response to this economic disaster, including the introduction of social welfare programs and increased state intervention, would significantly reshape the country's political landscape. Despite these immense challenges, or perhaps because of them, Canada emerged from this tumultuous period with a stronger sense of national identity and a more defined role on the global stage. The country's substantial contributions to both world wars, its resilience in the face of economic adversity, and its gradual shift towards greater independence from Britain all played a crucial part in shaping the Canada we know today. These events shaped Canada's national identity and global role. Post-war Canada entered a period of economic growth and social change. As the world dusted off the ashes of war, Canada found itself on the precipice of a new era, an era marked by prosperity and transformation. The post-war economic boom, fueled by high demand for goods and a surge in consumerism, propelled Canada into an age of unprecedented growth. Industries expanded, cities blossomed, and Canadians enjoyed a higher standard of living. But economic prosperity was just one facet of the change. The nation also embarked on a journey of social reform. A pivotal moment came in the mid-20th century with the introduction of universal healthcare. Championed by Tommy Douglas, the father of Medicare, this ensured that every Canadian citizen had access to medical services regardless of their financial circumstances. This hallmark of compassion and inclusivity became a cornerstone of Canada's identity. The winds of change continued to blow as Canada further asserted its sovereignty. The year 1982 marked a significant milestone with the passing of the Canada Act. No longer would British Parliament have a say in Canada's constitution. The country had, in every sense, come of age. Today, Canada stands tall on the world stage. It's a nation known for its steadfast commitment to peacekeeping, its unwavering support for human rights, and its embrace of diversity. Canada's multicultural fabric is a testament to its welcoming spirit, its bilingualism, a nod to its rich and complex history. Yet it's not just about the past or the present. Canada's future, much like its history, promises to be a tapestry of innovation, resilience, and unity. As it navigates the challenges of the 21st century, it continues to build on its legacy. From its early indigenous civilizations to its current status as a multicultural and bilingual nation, Canada's history is as vast and diverse as the country itself.